And we're back. With me here, I've got Retrophile TV, and we're going to be doing another Worlds Collide run. I was here for the last one. What's different about this one?
What's different about this one? Well, welcome, friends. I'm Retrophile TV. Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide. I mean, we're going to be running the Ultras League Season 5 standard flag set. The only differences here, folks, are what you can control with the donation incentives up to 30 minutes, with either us having to save Sid or don't save Sid, or having to watch the opera. That's still going to go on. That we've had a gentleman's agreement amongst the runners at this point that 30 minutes will be the cutoff. Whatever's ahead at that point, they can then route into their seed, or they won't. We'll go from there. But otherwise, this is a full randomizer of the Final Fantasy VI open world. They have access to both of them and the airship itself. So if you missed out on the earlier race, fantastic one that happened earlier this morning, I believe, at the end of that relay, my goodness gracious, which, I mean, Fitz is pulling all kinds of duty in this one and putting in the work. But Gar and Honeydew coming in here fresh. Should be quite nice overall. But basically, long story short, folks, if you're new to this, welcome to Worlds Collide. Basically, we have access to the airships, both worlds, and we're going to start off with 3 characters. No Magicite or the Espers that teach magic and all that good stuff as well. The goal ultimately is to amass 6 characters, 9 pieces of Magicite, and then go kill the evil clown at the end of Kefka Tower. At that point, they'll unlock it. We'll go through that, and it's a long hike to get there. It's a big journey here, but these folks are extremely skilled, and I guarantee that this will be under 2 hours, barring anything unforeseen by these people, well, such as saving Sid and having to watch an opera for about 20 minutes. But we'll see.
Welcome not only everyone to Worlds Collide, but also Joker Mage to the comms booth. Have anything else to add?
Thanks for having me. Sorry about the confusion earlier. I'm looking forward to this. It's definitely a flag set that I enjoy watching more than playing myself, because I do still have some difficulty with it, but it's always a great watch, and there's 3 really great runners that we're going to get to see today.
Definitely. I'll leave it to you guys then.
All right, very good. Well, looks like I'm conversing with the runners right now here, folks, and we're going to go ahead and count them in and get them away. While I get them all sorted out here for the restart, Joker Mage, kind of tell what the first couple of minutes will be looking like here. What our runners will be doing out of the gate.
The typical start is going to be looting. The usual paths are South Figaro or Narsh, or even the Returner's Cave. If there's a Terra in the starting party, you'll also see the Imperial Base Sealed Gate as an early looting spot. That's just a really treasure-dense area, and that's all to get some really early equipment, gear, stuff like that. And also money so you can go shopping. And after that, you'll probably see some of them try to do maybe a few free checks, but you also want to see a few of them try and get a couple early levels in to get ahead of the level scaling, which is a very critical part of Worlds Collide, because all of the bosses will sort of scale with your party based upon how many checks you've done. So how many characters you recruited, how many espers you found. There's some other settings, but those are the 2 main ones that are going to determine how tough the bosses you're fighting are. So if you do a lot of free checks where you're not gaining levels but are getting characters and espers, you could fall behind the level of the bosses and then just be in for a really tough time. So we'll probably see them go to some place where they can get that just sorted out, get a few early levels, get off level 3, which is the usual starting level, get some loot in, and then go and do the whatever checks seem most logical based upon the starting party.
Fantastic. And the the command is away at this point, so our runners are off and running. So let's talk a bit about the runners here that we have. We have Honeydew in the upper left. We have I Am Gar in the upper right, and 1 free Fitz, which you guys should be familiar with here. In the bottom left, we're going to have Shadow and Realm and Mog for our starting parties. We'll talk a bit about what those characters mean and what it has here. But Honeydew and Gar currently both competing actively in our ongoing season of Ultras League, currently in its 5th season, which is what this flag set is. It is a standard flag set that we have for that we're running competitively. Honeydew, Gar, and Fitz, all fantastic runners. They're going to go run off and do their own looting checks, as Joker had mentioned as well. And what do we mean by checks, for those that don't know? So we mentioned about the characters that they have in party presently. They're going to do a free check here. This is where you would meet Shadow normally during Sabin's scenario in Final Fantasy VI. So each character has their own designated amount of checks, things that they do that are associated with it. Could be an item, it could be an enemy with a boss, could be a character, could be items, could be magicite. So we're going there for a potential reward. And if you get anything other than an item, if you get a character or if you get a piece of magicite, you're furthering the scaling, and basically enemies are getting tougher and stronger at that point here. So basically, we're going to that free check, which is no boss required. We just walk up, we say hi to someone, and we see what we get. And again, the ultimate goal here is to get 6 characters, 9 pieces of magicite, and then start building your party to be able to actually get through the end of Kefka's Tower. All the bosses that we're going to get there are at their full strength. And it looks
So
like a lot of folks are going to Narsh, to the shed. That is Mog's check, activating that Lone Wolf. And yeah, so Lone Wolf, what do you think about the start so far?
yeah, so Gar did sort of do a bit of opposite, went and checked the returner space first, and we do see Honeydew now in return space. Meanwhile, Fitz has gone to Narsh and is also doing Mog's checks. All of Mog's checks are based around Narsh, so you just go there, take care of them. Shadow is an interesting character because Shadow gives you access to Floating Continent, which is a longer one, but it involves sort of 3 checks in one and 4 bosses, so there's plenty to do up there. And I think it has some guaranteed progression in Ultras League 5. Meanwhile, Realm is just your magical powerhouse character. So if you can get the right equipment like earrings, Magus Rod, Magus Hat, and some Espers, you can basically have her just magic down all the enemies starting like for the early seed.
Right, you are. Yeah, affectionately, we refer to Realm as Murder Child in the community here because her magic power stat is typically extremely high, and magic is very, very broken in Final Fantasy VI. Extremely broken. A lot of the most damaging attacks that you're going to be able to pull out are magic damage based. So you'll see people using the relics. Either look, we just bought an enhancer. Enhancer is +7 magic power on a weapon right there. We saw on Fitz's side. You'll see people use relics like hero rings that increase magic and attack damage, and earrings that increase magic damage by a percentage. So we're keeping an eye out for those as well.
And speaking of magic, one of the things that has changed in Ultras League Season 5 is the re-edition of Ultima, the sort of most powerful spell in Final Fantasy VI. However, it does have an enormous casting cost, and it is very difficult to learn. That can be offset if you can find an economizer, but that in turn means you have to give up one of those earring spots. So it'll be slightly less powerful, but it'll be super cheap, affordable, and you can just spam it with that character.
Yeah, right, you are. And so the Ultima, to offset it, as Joker had mentioned, is that the MP cost is going to be max, and it's going to be 254 MP per cast. But if you can get that economizer, it goes down to a piddly 1 MP, and you can spam that. But the animation's also extremely long, but it is a great piece there. I will call out real fast that Fitz picked up while looting the Returner's hideout the Rage Ring, and I would really like us to see the Yeti. Umaro join the party here at some point. We'll see what characters we end up getting depending on where they go. But just something to keep in the back of your mind. If they grab that Rage Ring will come in handy.
And I myself missed what the actual check at Gao's father's house was. Did you happen to see it?
No, I didn't catch what that was. It was so quick that they ran to it, talked to it, and then just left immediately while we were doing the introductions.
But you see them all in South Figaro right now, and that's just because South Figaro is probably one of the most treasure-dense areas in the game. There's a whole different set for the surface level of South Figaro for both World of Bounds and World of Ruin, but it's also just this huge basement area that you sort of go through with Locke in the vanilla game after the Empire sort of occupies South Figaro.
Yeah, again, this is going to be one of the ones you're going to see. Pretty much every runner who plays Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide is going to come here at some point or another, just because of how many treasure chests are here for the little time investment that it takes. And not to mention, you have a chance to peek these shops. You'll see the runners kind of pop in there, open the menu, see if there's anything in particular that they're looking for, be it offense or elemental protection or good relics of some sort. And we'll keep those in the back of the mind. Some runners will actually jot them down and keep a little note in mind that if they come into money later on, through whatever means, that they can come back and pick up a key piece to put their offense together. And that's what actually really makes Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide such a dynamic randomizer and a fun thing, because there's so many viable builds that you can possibly put together for your party based on the tools that you've been given and the pieces that you have to put the puzzle together and make something that's going to work. But you're also trying to balance offense and defense at the same time. Elemental protection to keep in mind. There's so much to consider all at once.
As far as South Figaro goes, I did see them through the various screens get Ribbon, Ice Rod, which is extremely good, and I believe Fixed Dice as well. And the guard did check out the Tizen Thief, and I think it was about 39,000 for that.
Yeah, we see Honeydew about to go poke into Zen as well, and the Zen Thief in the corner. This is one of the checks that you can do. Just if you pay off what it is, it'll say what it says. 39,000, and it could be yours. So it does not look like it's going to be anything good. That's going to be an item that he's holding, as opposed to a shiny rock that we're looking for.
And Gar has gone into Jidor, which probably just shopping right now, but they're actually, if this is World of Ruin, then the Oaxacar's Mansion check is going to be available for Realm.
Yeah, so this one's actually a good one to start off with because, I mean, you're starting off, all of your characters are level 3, so you need to kind of route in at some point, gaining some levels here or there, and there are, I believe, 2 forced fights in Owzer's Mansion, which I think we'll be poking into also, which is exactly where Gar is headed. We'll see what he puts together, but first want to kind of jump into a combat-centric check, and we'll see we go from there. So maybe if we pick those fixed dice that you'd mentioned, that might be a good mechanic. So how do fixed dice work, Joker Mage?
Just real quick, also I saw Fitz, when he went back into South Figaro, also picked up the Atma weapon sword, so there is a lot of value in that South Figaro. Fixed dice, they do a random amount of damage, but they tend to be weighted more heavily. However, if you loop them in with the Offering Relic, which lets you do 4 attacks with each fight, you can basically further offset that just because you're playing the odds. And more importantly, fixed dice ignored the defense values of a lot of enemies and bosses, so you're just doing raw damage and it's not getting blocked by whatever defense or protection they have.
Yeah, right, you are. You're actually able to use those to overcome a lot of bosses, but the only problem is you're basically the way that they're fixed, they're actually fixed against you. They're not meant to roll high.
I'm sorry, I understood that.
Oh yeah, my apologies. Yeah, so your odds of rolling 5s and 6s are not so great, but the fact that you have 3 pairs or 3 dies or 3 dice to work with is quite good overall. So you usually get some nice rolls on that, and you can see some surprising damage numbers even early on. But we'll see what's going on. Hey, looking at Fitz here, taking some basement grinds. It looks like had like a chimera there to deal with, so that wasn't too bad. Taking them down, nicely done. Gar, however, having a hard time here in Jador. Maybe bit off a little more than they can chew. That heavy armor putting in some work. 2 people down on his side. He's going to try to bring them up before he kills the fight to make sure they get experience.
Yeah, the armor bosses can be very difficult if you don't have, say, lightning elemental to deal with them quickly. Some of them have just really high defense. Others just have really obnoxious abilities that can just wipe out your party. There's a couple of them that I think have L4 Flare and L5 Doom for some reason.
Yeah, math is one of the most scariest things in this, just like Final Fantasy Tactics, that if your levels don't line up, you can get tagged by some pretty nasty abilities. We'll probably run into, possibly, Doomgaze, who opens with level 5 Doom. So if your party's levels are divisible by 5, you could be looking at some pretty bad times with instant death out of the gate. But nonetheless, looks like we got Honeydew in Thamasa right now doing some work up there. Let's see where Fitz is going to fly off to. And Gar still struggling with these fights here in Jador, it looks like.
Yeah, and Fritz getting through that early basement grind could probably really help out. And we see Fitz just going back into South Figaro, actually, only World of Ruin.
Yeah, Fitz double dipping here, it looks like. Again, you had mentioned about the... oh, there's a hero ring. There's a nice find right out of the gate there. So, and earrings.
Earrings.
We just mentioned those earlier and getting us going. So, some good stuff here for double dipping in the World of Ruin, South Figaro.
Yeah, it's a very standard thing. 2 hero rings. Yeah, South Figaro is paying dividends today.
Absolutely. All right, so we are 1 encounter away on Gar's side before we get to the boss. Going to have to heal up here a little bit beforehand. And we'll see Fitz continuing with their looting and pillaging path that they have through here. Honeydew taking a grind fight, it looks like here. Just hopping into the forest, some Iron Fists and Mind Candy. I don't know what that tastes like.
And Honeydew is actually just south of Esper Cave, which is a World of Balance check for Realm, I believe. So possibly going to go take on level bosses there and just doing this to get some levels for that.
Mind if I poke in
Yeah,
for a
it's
sec?
very. Yes, absolutely.
We just got 2 donations, one of them really big. The first one was from Drinks Glue, it's $10, asking question for Joker Mage. Which one of these runners has the most dog in them?
I think they all have dogs in them. It's just different breeds.
That's DAWG.
My answer is the same.
Okay. And the second one is from FF6WC. It's $100.
Hey, let's go.
Just saying good luck to our runners. And those don't look like they were put towards any incentives.
Well, I'll tell you this much though, that $100, I think that we just surpassed then with that 100. You can correct me if I'm wrong. We just surpassed Winter 2022 Day 2, yes?
I believe we did, yeah.
Okay, so I have an interesting update here. Fitz decided to go back to Zen only World of Ruin this time, and that thief discounted his price by a whole 75%. That was less than 10,000, and that was an offering.
Oh, nice pickup. So we were just talking about having those fixed dice, and that's another piece that you got there. So there's that 4 sets of dice. It's a long animation, but you have, 4 times the chances of actually having something worthwhile to get through some of the damage there. So very, very nice. But again, big shout out to the Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide community. If you would like to join us and join the randomizer here, ff6worldscollide.com to get yourself started. Hop in the Discord, join the community here. Wonderful, beautiful people that are always willing to. One of the most helpful communities I've run into, just like FF1R, and how you folks hop in and help out the new folks with all the duckling stuff you guys got going on as well. We're here to help, and we got mentors as well, because it's a big, beefy randomizer. There's a lot to think about. And Honeydew running into dark forces and saying, nope, let's get out of here. That's a big mess he doesn't want to deal with.
So an update for Gar is that Gar did get through the rest of Onzer's Mansion. The boss was fortunately just Narapa, who's probably one of the least threatening bosses in my personal opinion. I'm always happy to see Narapa because usually Narapa goes down fast. And even better, the reward for Onzer's Mansion was the Magicite Golem.
That's a good find. So, I mean, we'll talk about calmness protection later, but keep that one in the back of your mind, folks, that Golem is the best for doing that. All right, we're looking at Esper Mountain here. Honeydew going to be going up against, Marshall with 2 retainers flanking. This is pretty nasty. Retainers have trade-off, I believe, if they die, and that's an instant kill on death here. So let's see how this one sorts out.
Yeah, I think for this, Honeydew has to be able to not lose all 3 of them, just bring them back up after defeating one of the retainers.
Yeah, we'll see how that turns out at this point. Gar right now exploring the Velt Cave in World of Ruin. That's one of Shadow's checks, and also we see Fitz now hopping into Alzur's Mansion in World of Ruin Jador. That's one of Realms, and Honeydew also doing the other Realm check that's here with the Esper Mountain. Retainers are pretty nasty. Rando. Here's that trade-off. Oh, look at that, and the doggo blocking it for Shadow on that. What a good boy.
Yeah, meanwhile, one of the good things about that Veld Cave check that for Shadow is that is one you can peek at, and here we see that is in fact Sabin, so that's a 4th character.
Oh, what is this? Do we have? This is not Magimaster, is it?
It is.
Yes, it is. Oh my goodness, and Velt Cave. Goodness gracious. This might be a reset. Yeah,
this might be a comeback later when you have Berserk.
I mean, Berserk would be good, but maybe he's just going to roll them dice and hope for the best at this point. But hey, Drinks Glue had mentioned who's got the dog in them. I mean, literally, we saw Honeydew. the dog blocked the trade-off for that in that fight. I mean, that's a big dog moment right there.
And Fitz is going through the mansion check. We'll probably be able to make easy work of Narapa and get that golem as well. And Gar did have to reset.
Yeah, unfortunate. So Honeydew wrapping up Esper Mountain. Again, friends, 15 minutes left until we have the cutoff for Save Sid or don't. Or we have the, watch the opera scene or don't. We'll see what happens here with it and how they handle it, but we'll keep you guys posted. Back to the action here. Narapa on Fitz's side should be a pretty quick and easy one to take down, especially with 4 sets of dice to deal with. Gar also finding their way into Esper Mountain. And going to be going to fights the Retainers and the Marshals. That's going to be another rough one to run into, but Gar should be able to handle that one. Honeydew getting things all set up and ready to go. Looks like we have ourselves our 4th character that was picked up. I didn't catch who that was.
Gao was from the. I'm guessing was from the Esper Cave, and that does open up the Veldcheck and Serpent Trench.
It looks like that Honeydew positioning themselves and also put 3 people in their party because that's what you need to actually complete this check. I'm not sure where you grabbed the dried meat from, but should be good to go. I guess you've got some beef jerky in the pockets to work with.
Yeah, that's what
my recollection. The dried meat was in a shop in Narsh.
Nice. Thank you, Giga.
No problem. I also have a donation here. Again, $10 from Drinks Glue. How does Umaro tell the time? With a Sasquatch.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you, Drinks Glue. That's very good.
Okay. And I can say that, trying to do the Veldcheck, but forgetting to get the dried meat is sort of a rite of passage for Worlds Collide. So they're all experienced enough that they probably know better, but you do see it come up from time to time.
Hey, speaking of Veldcheck, look at this. Honeydew having to do the boss fight a second time because the formation showed up on the Veld. Look at this. We had 2 bosses. We had Honeydew and Gar fighting the same boss at 2 separate locations. Yeah,
this has been a very unfriendly Veld so far.
Also, Mog with Dance. Is this even randomized? But that being said, so Veld Cave is going to be in the cards for Fitz, and Fitz is going to be in for a real bad time here momentarily. You can't stop him, folks, but let's see what happens with that one. And maybe Fitz can figure out a way to get through Magimaster. That's a pretty tough one to deal with if you don't have Berserk in tow. And looks like Honeydew gonna take down Marshall, and look at the Yeti's here! We manifested. What a perfect time donation that was, Drinks Glue. Remember that Rage Ring I mentioned too? We're gonna have that in tow. Hopefully the Yeti will be joining the squad.
I'm not sure if that if he has any advantage against the Magimaster, but if so, that could be part of the solution.
Now, the only things he can do specifically, he comes equipped with a snow muffler. And basically, that is the best armor in the game for blocking physical damage. Not going to do much otherwise, but it does absorb cold damage at that point. And he does have a body tackle that he can do, I believe, 1/3 of the times. Something along those lines. I got to look at the formula again. But that does ignore physical defense, so he can cut through that. But unfortunately, with Magimaster slinging some pretty nasty spells, there's not really much we can do without a wall ring. But that being said, I'm glad to see the Yeti here, and it looks like Sabin is at Veld Cave, so Fitz looking to possibly get that. And here's the bad news: Magimaster is here. Let's see how long it takes him to reset. Everybody's going to start swinging and hoping for the best.
And we do see Honeydew going for Serpent Trench now.
Yep, that is the other Gao check to wrap up here. So this will be a quote-unquote auto-scroller of sorts, but plenty of enemies to deal with. Realm trying to gamble her heart out here, getting, oh my goodness, 96 damage. That must have been all ones on that one.
Yeah, not what you want to see off the fixed dice.
Well, he's still hanging on, 55 health. Fitz is going for it. Just full send here. I got 4 sets of dice, hoping for those big roll. That's a good one, 2.8k. Let's go. And final roll. Wall change, depending on what he throws out. This is going to be a tough one. Realm very fast. It just Fitz holding down the A button at this point, just committed to it. 4 more rolls. Here we go. Oh, we need more than that. Oh, you need Fitz takes down Magimaster.
Yeah, the offering fixed dice is just a wonderfully powerful, if a bit random combination.
Hey, I mean, we're here for randomness. That's what we're doing here. But Sabin joining the crew, it looks like, at this point. So nicely done, taking down Magimaster Veld Cave Dunzo as Honeydew throwing dice underwater. I don't know how that works, but let's wish him the best.
It looked like Gar had some trouble with the Yeti.
Oh boy, had some trouble with it. Unless he may have smacked them on accident rather than giving them beef jerky. And this seems kind of on the nose, isn't it? That we're giving beef jerky to the Yeti. I just realized that. Nonetheless, Serpent Trench rolling on here. You have two different forks you can take. Left, you stay out. Right, you go into a cave and you can grab a treasure chest. There's two caves, one of them longer than the other. And Honeydew running into some junk in the water, it looks like. So staying out, trying to do the fast thing. A couple of attacks to get through it. You'll wash up on the docks of Nikia, and you may get yourself, it could be a character, could be an item, could be a magicite. But at the end of this, though, you get a couple of levels. We got 10 minutes left for donations, friends, for the incentives. But please consider continuing to donate for this wonderful cause that we have here right on the marathon.
Yeah, and as far as I've been able to tell, I think Fitz is the only one who's found the offering so far. Because I think some of the others may have checked the thief in World of Balance, saw that it wasn't a magicite, and said, no thanks, I'm not paying 40k.
Yeah, but not taking that peak, like you said, that 75% discount in World of Ruin. It can be a random number between 1 and like 60-some thousand, I think. I can't remember what the top end is, but you get two different values to work with. The World of Balance Zen Thief will tell you or give you a hint as to what it is, and World of Ruin will just sell it to you outright at some random price.
Oh, that's a really great find at the end of Serpent Trench. That's Cyan.
That is, and that opens up a bunch of very good and handy checks. Let's see what he's got. He's got slots and magic. He's a gambling samurai.
Can I pop in again?
Absolutely, go for it.
We've got another $10 from Karant saying, did I hear $10 pun trade? Wait, I didn't? Ah, well, here goes. I hope our runners don't have a terrible time with Realm, clearly the sketchiest member of the crew.
Aha, I love it. Fantastic.
Yeah, so Fitz is taking advantage of that Sabin and doing Collapsing House, which can be a pretty rewarding one. There's plenty of chests to get, and since the Worlds Collide doesn't, or at least Ultras League Season 5 doesn't have the timers, you can sort of take your time to loot out the place.
Yeah, this is a great one. There's two monster in the boxes that are here, and it looks like that Fitz not really looking for it. I don't blame them at this point. Sometimes that you're hunting for that offering, looking for Katana Soul, or possibly looking for pugs for Minerva or something like that, but Fitz not really looking to do that, just trying to keep moving as fast as possible. He's got offense that he's happy with, and wrapping things up.
He already has the offering, so doesn't need Katana Soul.
Bingo. So it looks like there's a ghost that was holding up the house. Usually Sabin's there. This could be an item or magicite. You're not sure which. And after a brief break, we'll see what we get. Maybe, possibly. And that is a magicite that we're adding to the list there. Fantastic. So that is a live check.
And I haven't really seen what any of the Espers are doing as far as like what spells or bonuses yet. So I'm not sure if I've just been missing that or if none of them have actually checked. But we'll get a look. Drain, Weak Wind, and Haste, it looks like.
Yeah, for Rama, and it does not have any level up bonuses associated with that. That's kind of the unfortunate thing. So for those that may not know, in Final Fantasy VI, you don't really gain stats as you level. You gain levels, which are really important to all the damage calculations and formulas of the game, but you also gain HP. But you can also gain some nice stat bonuses from Espers, and they can range from +1 or +2 at level up for stamina, speed, strength, which is vigor, or magic power. Also, you can get HP or MP bonuses that sometimes can range all the way up to plus 100%. And what that means is what they would normally get. They would double that per level at that point. So you can build out your characters in certain ways. We'd mentioned that the magic power of Realm being really good. You stack her with a magic power +2 Esper, you're going to start doing some pretty nasty damage with any spell you start slinging with her.
Okay, so one interesting thing is Honeydew has already found 6 characters. So I don't expect them to go back to that Magic Master to go and grab Sabin at this point.
So he's getting that Lone Wolf, and also I think I believe he has Omaro. I could be wrong, however. I think
he does.
So he's going to look in the upper right corner here, and we'll be able to see, is there a character at the Yeti Cave? You can actually peek this check in the upper right once we get back to the Narish. He's walking into the mine. It's going to be quick, but we'll see. If no one's there, it could be an item or magicite. And it looks like Celis, I believe, is there.
I got another pun for you.
Go for it, absolutely.
Another $10 from Drinks Glue. What search engine does Umaro use? Moogle.
Moogle. Yeah, I dig it. Nice. I love this. Please continue donating $10, friends, to tell us your puns, jokes. I love them.
think this is in fact a vanilla ice dragon, if I'm correct.
If it's in the field of Narsh, absolutely, that is vanilla placement.
And Honeydew just walked past Setzer at the Kefka and Narsh fight.
So he's going to go up here and do this. I'm guessing he may not grab Setzer at this point. Maybe at this point you could do that, or if you do Kefka and Narsh, you'll get transported right in front of where the check's going to be for Mog as well if you didn't do the Moogle defense. We'll see. So this could be an item or Magicite on the cliff side. This is another free one, and we're grabbing Stray, I believe. That is a Magicite.
Yeah, and so I don't think I've seen the count for how many Magicites they're all at, but they're all getting pretty close in terms of character counts.
I've seen very few dead checks at this point. We haven't just had random high tier items popping up. And we're getting very close to that 30-minute mark where we're going to have to instruct our runners whether or not they need to do some extra things before they move on. So Gar going to be fighting in a monster in a box here. It's all over, or aloe vera. They're being a little cheeky. Shout out to Ted Woolsey.
And Revivify's the correct answer for that.
Yeah, nice, quick, and easy. You get yourself a pair of tiger claws, tiger fangs, and those are actually pretty decent sale fodder if you want to use them for that. And speaking of the Yeti, Fitz finding Yeti at the Tritalk spot.
Kind of a French vanilla Yeti.
In a way, yeah, he's pretty close. We were almost in his cave, but no, he was just up there hanging out like, I'm the Esper. Look at me.
And Honeydew is, in fact, doing Kefka and Narsh and will get Setzer out of this, I believe.
So maybe just opting for just a quick transport back down the mountain. Not too bad. So I will point this out, though. Check this out, friends. If you guys have ever played Final Fantasy 3/6, you may remember this big epic fight having to get 3 teams together and go through here. Well, guess what? You can skip all of it if you really, really want to. And Honeydew does an excellent job there. You're able just to run past everything. And this is a pretty nasty boss to run into. If only we had someone who could steal, you could get some nice elemental shields off of Inferno. But that being said, we're going to be using some rods. These breakables are nice. Joker, let's talk about them rods. What makes them so special?
Well, in general, they're just, you think you can just like use them like in Harry Potter and cast magic with them. But no, in fact, what you do is you spend a lot of money to get them, and then you break them in a fight, and you get one use out of them to cast some really powerful elemental spells. So I think we saw a Pearl Rod, so it was going to cost the Pearl, which is I think the equivalent of Holy within Final Fantasy VI. Should do a lot of damage, and I'm not sure if that damage, I think that damage is calculated independent of whoever's using it though, so it's not like their own magic stat affects it.
Actually, it is the other way around. I believe it's the higher magic power, but it will do the highest roll it can, and it also will ignore It will ignore reflect and such, so you can go through some pretty nice things with that if you need to. But yeah, once you use it, it's gone at that point. It breaks the rod. And speaking about breaking the rod there, Honeydew breaking down Inferno here and getting through that. And look at this, Gar having to deal with Guardian at this point too. This is pretty nasty. This is a rough fight. He's a big beefy boy with a lot of HP, so hopefully things can be taken out here. And we got 1 minute to go, friends. Last chance to influence. Will we save or not save Sid? And are we going to be going to the opera and getting all fancy, or will we be skipping that and trying to take down the clown faster? You got 1 minute, friends. Good luck.
I feel like we've seen already a lot of high tier bosses, not necessarily the highest. Like I don't think we've seen statues yet, except for technically Guardian, I guess. But we also haven't seen a lot of the really easy ones like Leader or Tunnel Armor.
Yeah, so that might mean that KT could be kind of easy. We did run into Magimaster, so that one's out of the way already. We know where he is, so that's a good thing. At least some of the folks do. But no statue fights that I've seen yet. No random Atma at this point here. So there's still some pretty nasty stuff. Doomgaze still on the table. Funbaba, some late game World of Ruin stuff is still out there. And the Moogle defense is where Gar was at, and Honeydew about to go there as well. We saw some good damage. Gar taking down Guardian, and 10 seconds to go. Giga, I'm going to need an official word so I can send over the runners here.
All right.
What are we doing?
Let me get this up all refreshed and make sure I've got the right everything in. We are doing the opera and saving Sid. Everyone get
Fantastic.
that?
Thank you folks that donated for that one. We're doing all the things. I've just let the runners know, so we're gonna keep an eye out and make sure that they all take in some culture and feed an old man a bunch of fish.
All the fish.
All the fish. We'll talk a little bit more about how that works out once they get there, but it's something you don't really do much.
I was just going to say, Fitz has actually shown us that Stray has Ultima.
Ooh, fantastic. We haven't seen anyone pick up an economizer yet, though, so it'd still be a pricey cast, but it can be a nice panic button if you need to, or if you want some heavy AoE damage.
And Fitz has also decided that he wants that Setzer.
So it's not too bad. I mean, if you're gonna cluster the checks together here and just kind of chain them, you can take care of World of Balance Narsh, entirely. So Honeydew chipping away at Guardian being rude as always at this point. Gar also making the hike up the mountain. Look at this. So it's kind of interesting to see all of them in the same area within Narsh, kind of working their way through the checks, just trying to find that Magicite.
Yeah, and I don't think Fitz did the Veld check because it did not appear to have Umaro. So also did not go down into Umaro's cave after doing the Tritalk check.
That's correct. So Fitz on the Inferno fight, which we just saw, and Guardian crack boom for Honeydew. Honeydew going to be done with that. And Gar picking up a shiny rock on the mountain. Let's see if he opts to go for Setzer here. He does. It walks right by the gambler, just going to stand there, just kind of looking at him. And we'll see where Gar goes from here at this point.
Yeah, and so Moogle defense was Palador, another Esper.
Again, this has been pretty speedy here, Joker. Not too many dead checks. I mean, Honeydew has plenty of characters in tow at this point. I guess we should talk about, just since we're getting closer to fulfilling some of those requirements, what is KT skips? We talked about we need to get 6 characters and 9 Magicite minimum to get the final Kefka fight unlocked. What is KT skip? How does that work, and what are the requirements for that?
Okay, so in the final phase of the game, you have to sort of climb around up or down Kefka's tower that he assembled from the floating continent after destroying the world, and I think bits and pieces of Vector, the Imperial capital. And at a certain point, you reach what are called the switches, and you basically have to press a bunch of switches and move around some people and push down 4-ton weights in order to progress further. What we have done in Worlds Collide is if you can beat certain requirements, you get something called the Kefka's Tower skip, the KT skip. And if you do that, you start right at the switches rather than having to go through all the first part before the switches. And so it's a very good way to either catch up or to get ahead depending on what the conditions are. In Ultras League Season 5, I believe it is if you find 9 characters, 12 Espers, or 21 checks of any kind, you will get the skip, and it's only one of those 3. Whereas for getting Final Kefka, you need 6 characters and 9 Espers.
Fantastic. And hey, while we're talking about Gar taking in the opera, we can check that one off the list here. Gar, a man of culture, going to the opera right away, getting that out of the way. While Honeydew going to the Coliseum, taking in a fight. There is some good stuff there. You can get Minerva, it looked like. I couldn't see for what, but Honeydew trying to trade a smoke bomb for a behemoth suit, ran into a white dragon fight, unfortunately, and getting lit up by one spell right out of the gate.
And so I hope everyone brought their tiny golden binoculars on a stick for the opera.
I mean, let's be honest here. This is fantastic that they were able to put a full dang opera in a 16-bit cartridge back in the day, and here we are having to sing our way on stage to get through it. You folks, you donated for it. You made it happen. You would.
I mean, I did offer to sing it in the comms booth.
Can you do it in Italian?
Not in Italian.
It's kind of hard for us to see it up here, so we'll definitely have to get out the monocles and the little tiny thing. And look at this, Honeydew hitting the beach. We're going to be feeding an old man a bunch of fish. So let's talk about saving Sid. The fish move at 3 different speeds, and if they're slower fish, they're bad fish. And if they are fast fish, they are tasty fish. And tasty fish will save Sid. Apparently, through the power of a whole lot of protein, he will overcome his potentially deadly illness. I'm not really sure what's going on here, but this is a very abundant place to get fish. I don't know if you can just walk up to the shore and just grab them, but that's what we're doing. So Honeydew just feeding fish to the old man. Not even cooking it, just cramming them in his face, and somehow he magically gets better. I don't really know how this works. The stove is clearly there, but he's not going to it.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Fitz has decided to do his own thing, and this is Floating Continent. And I was talking earlier about like really annoying armors that cast L4 Flare and L5 Doom. This is the pair I'm talking about.
Gar freaking out up top there, just waiting for the timer to go. Oh my goodness. Just running around back and forth. As Honeydew trying to field the old man, just the fish here at this point. I can't deal with this. This is wild. Thank you folks for making this happen.
And my question is, like, if one of them accidentally does not save Sid, like, feeds the wrong fish, do we have to punish them somehow?
I hope they have a save, because that old man better not die. It is possible. I mean, if you're feeding him the good fish for the most part, his life will tick down a little bit every so often. I'm not sure if it's based on screen transitions or actual RTA, but feeding him the sickly fish will make his health worse. But basically, the good fish are so good that if you just keep feeding them that, you'll get them there. But you can see it takes a long, long time. I feel so much better, thanks. He saved him, Honeydew, taking care of the old man, and the opera's still going on Gar's side. Oh my goodness. So, Honeydew is the old man's savior, Gar the man of culture. Those are checked off the list, but they gotta complete the other one. Fitz, however, has to do both of these before we can hop into Kefka Tower. My goodness, what a wild race, Joker.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Honeydew, now after saving the old man, has decided to go searching for the skies and finds the discount Inferno.
Yeah, that's Inferno Light, basically. He's got a blue cone of paint. You fight him earlier. That's usually in the exit of the Magitech factory from the vanilla game at this point. So, Opera officially done for Gar. Congratulations, nicely done. And Fitz still dealing with some pretty nasty stuff here, it looks like. Just those heavy armors, the proto armors just kind of working their way through. Bolt 3, though, doing some chonky damage there. 3.4k. You'll love to see that.
And normally the Search the Skies thing can attack randomly in World of Ruin, but by having Setzer, you can go search for it immediately. And once it's defeated, it stops bothering you, so you're free to fly about the World of Ruin completely unharmed after that point.
Yeah, for those that don't know what that is Doomgaze normally in World of Ruin, that you have sometimes a bad habit of just running into. With Setzer, you get the option just to fight it whenever you want. It's very quick, and it can be either a item or a Magicite, cannot be a character. Now look at this, Honeydew hopping right into the Opera at this point. Just gonna take care of those two things, make sure it's not on their mind. They can focus on it. Gar also getting the fish together. I love it. We let them know, and immediately Honeydew and Gar taking care of it, where Fitz just going off to do their own thing. And fighting Tritok in the sky. Not too bad if you deal with some fire magic, but that's basically it. That's all you can do. Usually has very, very high physical defense, but hey, since we're rolling here with 4 sets of dice, those cut right through. They don't care what the physical defense is.
Yeah, and this is the Ultros 4 fight, I think. Ultros Chupon.
That's correct. That's usually the final time that you fight Ultros here, but not in this spot. But we're going to be hopping right into another boss fight. Good thing for Fitz, so you get a free heal during this transition, so the party will be up to full snuff, and we'll be able to do their things here. And we're going to be facing, hey, you mentioned Leader. Here he is.
Yeah, this is not a threat at all.
No, this will be a quick one. Nice entry to Floating Continent. And we'll go from there and see if he goes the full distance or decides to leave earlier. I can't imagine the reason why he wouldn't go the full distance at this point. But maybe he's just trying to grab some stuff along the way. Honeydew taking in the Opera. Look how beautiful and gorgeous it is. No doubt singing along with it, just having a great old time. And whereas Gar, this is one of Cyan's checks right here, taking a gander at Doma, the haunted castle where something bad happened. Let's take a nap here, maybe.
Yeah, this is Dream. He's in World of Ruin.
Fantastic. I like this one a lot. This check, honestly, is pretty great. You get a lot of rewards for doing it. It's pretty straightforward for just 2 bosses. But we'll see what those 2 bosses actually are. Right now, we're going through Cyan's Dream State at this point, and you got to grab, just basically go up and just say hello to these 2 kids of the Stooges, and we're almost there already. Very nice, clean movement here from Gar. This is, it's kind of hard to navigate through here. Some tricky turns, except they're doing a nice job overall. Speaking about tricky movement and navigation, Fitz up on the floating continent, one of the most annoying things to deal with, a long twisting dungeon, and Goddess is the first boss to deal with. There's one of those statues, Joker.
Yeah, and even with Goddess here, I'd say this is still like going to be like a preferable route to go. Just of the 3 sort of composite checks, which would be Magitech Facility, Floating Continent, which is where we see Fitz, and Doma Dream, which is where we see Gar. I just still think Doma Dream's like the most straightforward and least complicated, and it is, guaranteed progression.
We're going up against Goddess, though. Pretty nasty here. Acid Rain coming out, using lightning. Pretty rough stuff here. But Gao putting in some work, some Quadra Slice, and I can understand now why he's going through it. If he's got Sword Tech, so there's a nice little reward here, Joker. We get an upgrade, don't we?
Yeah, it gets all 8 levels of Sword Tech, and the 7 is an extremely powerful one, but Sword Tech 8 is an insta-kill, which can be very useful on the final Kefka fight.
Yeah, instant kill for those that are susceptible to death. It's actually an AoE, just runs across, called Cleave, and just cuts through everything. Sword Tech 7, Quadra Slice, I believe, is just like number 4. It's a 4-stroke attack. But it ignores physical defense. It does a big stack of damage. And stacks of damage here. Let's talk about that. Fitz right now going up against Senor Behemoth. Super Behemoth, King Behemoth, whatever you want to call him. That's a 2-part fight here. The first boss that we're facing on the floating continent. We'll see what he can do there. Honeydew getting into the tear-filled moment. The climax of throwing out the flowers and mourning. The potential loss. And all the emotion. Gar fighting Goddess, Senior Behemoth. I just like the contrast. We got all this action going on, and then the opera in the upper left. It's a fun little juxtaposition.
Yeah, and we should just point out Gar is already through opera and saving Sid, so that's already taken care of, already done. Honeydew is just about to finish opera.
And Fitz has both of those moments waiting for him. I'm very curious to see how things converge here as we descend upon the KT. All 3 of these runners are fantastic. Like I said earlier at the top of this, they're very, very skilled. Honeydew and Gar in Ultras League currently and doing extremely well for where they are at this point. Fitz has also competed in the past, but also very, very active in the community and just has definitely proven themselves over the time. So 3 great people to show you what's going on here in Worlds Collide. We got Condemn going across the board here on Gar's side, so we have a timer to get through this here. Grand Train coming out from Shadow, and that's the kill shot. Nicely done. We have one more boss until we're completely through the Dream. Fitz taking down Super Behemoth, or Senior Behemoth on this one here, and we have a couple of fixed fights to get through. One more boss fight at the end. And it looks like Honeydew is in Zozo, so I'm guessing probably a trip to Mount Zozo is in order, or the apartment mountain.
I'm not sure if they found Terra yet, but I'm pretty sure they found Science, so I imagine this is Mount Zozo.
Yeah, that's a good place to go. I mean, that's technically a free check, but most folks will bundle that in with fighting the dragon that's up there. And dragons count as checks toward that 21 for that skip we mentioned. Not to mention that you get a big stack of experience and 50 magic points for doing that. So a very, very quick way to learn some skills if you want to throw some new espers on folks and give them something to work with.
We see the Rust Aid purchase, so this is definitely Mount Zozo.
Indeed. Going up there, just buying it from the shady person, unlocking it. Joker, I don't understand what is the engineering behind this? How does an apartment open entirely into a mountain? This is such a jarring transition right here.
Well, there's many cultures throughout, human history that have actually built their abodes into like cliff faces and mountains. So, I mean, it's sort of just, you build your house into the mountain, then you put on, an addition in the front that looks more modern. And I think that's kind of how they did it.
You know what? That's a rather astute answer. I kind of like that, where this is an entire town of lies and deception. So they have the facade on the outside, And clearly here it is. And Fitz going up against, looks like the final boss on Floating Continent is that Ultros 4 fight we talked about, Ultros and Chupon. So he's not going to get any rewards for this.
They decided they didn't want to be on the airship for the fight and just were going to stay on the Floating Continent instead.
Yeah,
not that it's going to help him because that continent's coming down.
So it looks like the dragon at Mount Zozo, blue dragon, that's the water dragon. All the dragons embody some sort of element, save for, I think, Skull Dragon is kind of the one that's the one-off at that point. But taking care of Water Dragon very, very quickly for Honeydew. Nicely done there.
Yeah, Water Dragon's fairly simple as long as you got enough lightning damage to just, like, throw at it.
So I will point out Fitz does have Terra at this point, so a couple good checks on the books for her as well. I don't know if he's going to go fully through the cavern or going to go raid, possibly. We'll see. Looks like maybe Esper Mountain on the cards.
So, I thought... okay, I'm probably just confused, but I thought Fitz already
did we've had a few folks that have done that. I'm not sure if Fitz has done that yet or not at this point. And we get more Ultros action going on here, and it looks like Gar is going to be getting out of Cyan's Dream and going to be getting that upgraded sword tech ability as well as two bonuses here.
Yeah, the Dome of Dream sequence is just really a lot of good rewards for very little effort.
Yeah, it's not too bad. So Gar getting one piece of Magicite, going to be going up on and grabbing the extra reward on the throne there. And we get an item, the Valiant Knife, it looks like, I believe, for Honeydew. I didn't see what was on the throne for Gar.
That was Fenrir.
How about it? That's another good calmness protection Esper as well. But if we already have Golem at this point, that's all we really truly need. Nonetheless, we're racking up Espers here. Gar and Honeydew have already taken care of the errands of being cultured and saving an old man. But Fitz still has to complete those at this point. So I'm kind of curious if they're just trying to get the normal checks out of the way, then deal with extra stuff before they hop into KT.
And Gar is going to Mount Zozo at this point. And Honeydew is doing the dream.
They can high five on the way out. Look at that. They basically swap spots on this. You love to see it.
Yeah, and both of those checks are fairly standard, fairly good. So it's not really a surprise that they do both of them, and they just happen to do them in opposite order. That's all.
Right, you are, Joker. Okay, so checking back in here. So Honeydew shouldn't have any problems with either of these bosses here. Fitz is at the Imperial Camp. This is one of Saban's checks, and has some pretty nasty level 30 magics here. Uses a smoke bomb to get out of that one. Since it's a merchant that's fighting here, we can basically confirm that this is either an item or a magicite would not be a character. And that's likely what Fitz is looking for at this point.
Honeydew's just found the goddess that Gar has already gotten through.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Honeydew is more than equipped to deal with it. Look at that, there we go. There's our Ultima cast. Beautiful damage.
Yeah, Big Blue is often the answer if you can pay for it.
It is never the wrong answer against any enemy in the game, because it basically it destroys anything it comes in contact with, especially if you do it enough. That's why a lot of folks...
That was a super fast goddess.
Yeah, it was very quick. I guess that's something we can talk about, Joker, is that doing well at Worlds Collide and doing things fast, it not only it demands a lot of a person, it demands a lot of menuing, quick thinking on the fly, quick problem solving. But a lot of the big things come down to reducing battle time. We've seen some battles that kind of get out of hand where you're stuck there for a few minutes if you're not equipped fully for it, or situations like that where Honeydew walked in there, had plenty of offensive ability, knew exactly what to do, and didn't get trolled by bad RNG or the boss doing some pretty nasty things and took them down very quickly. So optimizing your offense for the situation can really pay dividends over the course of an hour and a half run.
Yeah, it's kind of common adage for speedrunning in general is that a good defense is a great offense, or I probably said that backwards, but you know what I mean? Like, offense is going to get you to the end a lot faster than being able to survive.
That's correct. It is always a constant balancing act in this game to basically have both of those things in spades. But again, if you can stack some heavy magic damage, as we saw, you can get yourself out of a lot of situations before you have the chance of getting tagged. So Gar wrapping up Mount Zozo, Honeydew finishing up the engineering portion of the nightmare and getting through that. Almost will be to that Ultros fight. I'm sure he'll be relieved to see that to get through it. And Fitz jumped off the Barren Falls. We'll see what the reward is for this. This is another one of Saban's checks. And that one's pretty straightforward. So a nice little cluster we have here. Actually, you can do Imperial Camp. You can do the Phantom Train if you wanted to. But this one's quick and easy. Let's see what we get here. We have a character walk up. Nope, we're getting a Magicite there for Fitz.
And I'm not sure what their counts are as far as... I know most of them probably have 6 characters at this point, but I'm not sure what they have for Espers or checks.
I think it's pretty safe to say that we'll keep an eye out for that pop-up here about whether or not they've unlocked Final Kefka. But basically, any Magicite we're seeing, that's the progress, because all of our runners at this point meet that minimum 6-character requirement. So that's what we're looking for at this point. If they're getting items, those are dead checks. If they're getting Magicite, they're pushing themselves closer and closer to that final deal. And since we're 50 minutes in, given the skill of these runners, even with some of them doing the Opera and the Sid side quest at this point, I think we're pretty close to getting into that final climb.
Yeah, and Fitz just finished off the Search the Sky, so that's taken care of. That is Ultros 3, it looks like, and I think that was at the Rexall spot, if I remember where Honeydew is at.
That's correct. And there it is. Unlock Final Kefka. Fitz at 51 minutes. But remember, Fitz has to be cultured. We haven't done that yet. We haven't saved Sid, but we are in the World of Ruin. Looks like he might be flying in there now to feed the old man some fish. Here we go.
Yeah, saving culture for last.
You know what? It's okay. He has a chance to take that break, mentally compose himself before going into KT at this point. But let's enjoy hitting the beach and grabbing up some fish for the old man.
And I'm pretty sure all 3 runners have Golem, so as far as that goes, they should be set. Gar and Honeydew both have the Sortek unlock.
I want to point this out for a second. Fitz, I think, is having a problem where they're exiting. They didn't know they had to go south for the beach, so they left to the right, to the left. Amazing.
Yeah. So as far as the final Kefka fight goes, I'm not sure what Fitz has as far as instant death. But Gar and Honeydew, they have Gao, they have Sword Tech unlocked, so they'll be able to take care of that. And I don't know, because we haven't really seen a lot of what's on the Espers, we don't know if any of them have mute.
Yeah, that's the biggest one. We'll have a lot to talk about. The final boss has a lot of moving parts and a lot of parts to deal with. Honeydew going to be going to Doma Castle. Quick fight that's there. Fitz working on trying to get things done. Gar fighting Yeti on the Tritok spot at this point. So a lot of things going on here, but we're working our way through. Let's see what's at Doma. I don't recall. Looks like Edgar at Doma.
Yeah, this is our first check for Doma defense. So we never saw this yet.
Yeah, let's see what's here. Air Force is here. We got lots of lightning damage.
Yeah, this shouldn't be a problem. And although I don't... at this point, Honeydew may actually get tower skip through characters, because I think this is going to be 8th or 9th character for Honeydew.
Honeydew is definitely... He has not passed on any characters at this point. He completed that set. Wow, basically one and done for the Air Force there. And he's going to grab Edgar. And Edgar has a pretty quick free check you can grab, too. So keep in mind, you can just hop over and grab what's on the throne of Figaro right here in the world of balance. And hopefully, maybe, possibly, it's a Magicite. And we'll be good to go from there.
Fitz has finished saving Sid and is now on to Opera.
Fantastic.
Although
Actually,
it looks like
he's Opera Dragon, it looks like.
I guess like looping them together to do them at the same time.
That's possible, yes. This isn't the opera in question we're referring to. Also, is this even randomized? Because this is where Dirt Dragon is normally. The answer is yes. Yes, this is randomized. Oh, Honeydew going to be going to Velt Cave. We know what's there. That's going to be another character and Magimaster.
Yeah, so get through Magimaster, get Saban's Honeydew's 9th. That's Honeydew's KT skip. I'm certain about that count.
Yeah, but we're still waiting to see. I think he was just hunting for Magicite at this point. So at this point, this is gonna be. He's gonna do it. I'm pretty sure. I don't think he's gonna reset because if he's that close to it, might as well go for it and just hope for the best otherwise.
And we see the discount managing master at the Yeti spot, who's I think Celeste is there. So Gar's going to get Celeste by getting through this one.
That's correct. And I think since we're 55 minutes in, if this was a little earlier in the seed that he would have grabbed this, we could have got that Magitech upgrade. Joker, you want to talk a little bit about what that is?
Well, one of the skills the characters can get is Magitech, and if you remember the very early game where you're riding around on the Magitech robots, as you and Biggs and Wedge invade Narsh, they give you different elemental abilities, and you get some very basic ones like the 3 elements and heal. I think if you can do the Magitech facility, which is a Celeste longer check, then you'll get some of the extra ones it's like a Bioblaster, X-Force, and most importantly, Tech Missile.
Yeah, that's the big one you're going for. I mean, Transfer or Xfer is very useful for the final fight because that's an instant death. That does some pretty decent work if they're susceptible to it. So Honeydew fighting Magimaster, Gar getting out of Narsh at this point, and Fitz taking in the Opera. And we already know that Fitz is going to go mode, and we'll get through this here, assuming that they don't botch their lines in the song. Hopefully they keep that in the back of their mind.
Yeah, and I don't know where Fitz is as far as Skip, but I'm fairly certain this is Honeydew Skip, and I don't know where Gar is as far as Skip.
I haven't seen any notifications about on Gar's side. Honeydew will definitely get it for just sheer characters. And looking like Murder Child using Ultima, those quad 9s, you love to see it. Magimaster taken down, and a nice little consolation prize you get there, Joker, is you get that Mega Elixir, and that can come in handy if you're not having enough damage output on Final Kefka.
Yep, and there was the KT skip up notification, so Honeydew gets to start at switches.
Fantastic, but he's going to meet those other requirements here first. We need those 9 Magicite, which I think he's still fishing for. We know that he's already completed the extra curricular activity of saving Sid in the Opera, so those are done at this point. All of our runners now fulfilling those requirements, so it's going to be a mad dash for KT, and Honeydew has that skip in his pocket at this point too, no less.
Checking to Zen, possibly collapsing house at this point.
Yeah, that might be the move. I can't recall what was there. It was a ghost holding up. I'm pretty sure that was a Magicite.
And it'll be very fast. Once there's a little bit of cutscene, but you just go run, grab the kid, run out.
And you know what? From a routing standpoint, I really like this. That if this is, and maybe this might be his 9th Magicite he's looking to get, if he unlocks KT, he's already right there. He's on the same continent. He's already in the world of ruin. This is actually a really good and smart decision.
Absolutely.
Gar encountering Atma weapon, looking like.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what spot this is at.
I didn't catch where he went off to, now that you mentioned it. It is a cave somewhere. This he doesn't have lock, does he? Because that would be tunnel armor, possibly. Nonetheless, he's cranking out the damage. This will be a quick fight to take care of.
Yeah, at this point in the game, there's not too many bosses that are going to really present a problem.
Atmawepa flexing here using Goner. This is Final Kefka's big attack normally. Pretty nasty to see this one here. But his party's pretty well kitted. He's doing a good job. All right, Honeydew wrapping up collapsing house. I didn't check to see. I was looking over at the quarter that was happening. Atmaweapon down on Gar's side. Let's see where Honeydew goes. If he's ready to rock at this point. He's going to World of Balance. No, he's going to be doing something else here in the meantime, looks like. This is what I was talking about. Here's your free check from having Edgar, and he's parking in the optimal spot. This is the shortest distance you can walk to get down there. So here he goes. Let's see what's on the throne for Edgar as the Opera is still going for Fitz.
Normally, when I'm doing this check, I'm usually routing in with the rest of Edgar's ones, but it makes sense to just go and check it at this point.
Yeah, this late in the game here, it is a Magicite, and that is Final Kefka unlock. Honeydew is in full-on go mode at this point with a skip in the pocket. It looks like Gar did have lock, so that was tunnel armor here. He's in Narsh, going to be talking to the creepy old guy that's kind of hanging out here and see what he gets. That is a Magicite or Minerva, and that is Final Kefka unlock for Gar as well. We're in go mode for both. I don't know if Gar has the skip in tow at this point. We will see if that is the case.
And I think Fitz just finished the Opera House.
Oh, look at this. We're going to converge here, Joker.
I think Honeydew right now has the advantage with that skip, but I don't know if we can count anyone out just yet.
It's very possible. Gar flying off, looking to do the Opera Dragon here. Fitz wrapping up the opera there. Honeydew entering, going to statues. Okay, here we go. Divvying up the party here. The center block here when going at statues is going to have to fight 2 bosses, whereas the flanking teams are going to have to deal with 1 before we get to the final switches and start that final climb.
We still have not seen Doomgaze or the other 2 statues, so there could be vanilla or French vanilla statues here.
That's possible. Or with that skip, maybe at the Inferno spot, we could have skipped something particularly nasty.
That is true as well, and the Atma prisoner as well.
That's also true. So here we are at KT. So Fitz gonna have to do it the old-fashioned way. We'll see what it looks like, unless he's gonna do. I didn't see how he laid his party out. He could just do the dip, dragon, and run, and come back out. So if he's only 1 check behind, you go there, you grab a quick dragon. That counts as a check. You can get to your 21.
It could be what Gar's doing too, is just grabbing this dragon for skip.
That's correct. Yeah, that's very, very possible at this point. So it's the Crane game on Honeydew's side at this point, and Crane using Flare Star. Oh, jeez. Ooh. Well, he's doing pretty decent with this one here, but Gao using Ultima, just taking care of everything at this point. We got Grand Train in tow. Honeydew's going to take care of these cranes very quickly.
Yeah, that Edgar was just one of the later pickups, so wasn't going to survive anything that is getting thrown at it at this point.
Yeah, I like this. So Honeydew, we have Ultima, and then we have Diet Ultima, aka Grand Train.
Yeah, it makes sense to do it that way, I think, also just because if you're messing around with elemental spells, those cranes can be a bit more difficult. One of them absorbs fire, the other absorbs lightning, and if the lightning one absorbs too much lightning, it can be a really nasty day.
Yeah, so at that point, don't even deal with it. He's just using non-elemental damage. And here's Gar going to KT. Let's see if he's got an option for a skip. Does not appear to be the case. I did not see that unless he put it in there quick.
He's loading up the center, possibly going to do the Atma prisoner to get skip.
That's very possible. 102 going to be jumping down there. And we have the time loss fish, the piranhas, up here. We're going to be facing Rizopos as the second boss up the middle here. And we'll be dealing with that. Fitz working their way through. I don't think they're farming skip. I think they're doing this the old-fashioned way. So we'll see. Was that skip worth it?
Cranes and Rizopos on the center path, which neither of them are, like, they can be time consuming, but as long as you know what you're doing, neither of them are particularly strong threats.
That's correct. So Fitz a few steps away from fighting Inferno, and Gar possibly going to be close there as well. Actually going through here, going to be facing, yep, you called it, Toilet Atma, there it is. And that is the Ultra Spot. Doomgaze was Inferno. What a skip for Honeydew. Did not have to deal with that.
That's great. And I'm assuming that Gar is going to try to get skipped using this, and this is a perfectly fine enemy to fight at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Rizopos going down on Honeydew. Honeydew has 2 more fights to go before they get into the final climb at this point. And Gar taking down Ultros at the Toilet Atma spot, looking to see if we can see KT unlocked. I couldn't see if it was there or not, unfortunately. And gets a free item for it as well. Continuing forward.
Okay, Honeydew's through center path, just needs to do the right and left statues in his, at the final fight.
Fitz probably taking down Doomgaze. That's a pretty big roll from Setzer there at this point, but still pretty nasty to run into him. And there's a Doom taking the soul out of Setzer at this point. That's the scary point about it. And here comes the big blue bubble for Fitz with Shadow. Hopefully that's enough to do this in. And crack boom, Doomgaze is donezo.
Yeah, Gar is also taking a dragon, so again, that could still be part of trying to get Skip.
Yeah, it's very possible. I mean, if you have a warp stone or the warp skill, you can get out, just go back up, go to statues, and just get everyone all there. You don't have to worry about walking people through. And look at this, just Ultros 1 here. So some pretty softball enemies. We were talking about this earlier there, Joker. Doomgaze is probably the nastiest of the bunch, but if you got the skip, you can get right by it.
Yeah, watch the last statue spot be Poltergeist, though.
Let's hear it in chat for those that know it. What do you guys think the final statue spot will be for Honeydew? Any bosses that we didn't see out there? We haven't seen Welk yet, for one that I can think of. I always like to kind of go with that as an option. Chatternook would also be one. Tunnel Armor is another one that's still on the list. Funbaba we haven't seen yet.
I think Dada Luma is still on the list, and Vargas
Dad.
as well.
Where's Dad at? Maybe Dad's here. Now, place your bets, friends. We'll see you in a few moments once Honeydew is ready. Once everything's set up and ready to go here.
Gar has in fact warped out, so I think just got KT skip from that dragon fight.
Yep. Gar got what he needed from there, so a nice fish there. So it's Rex Soul that we're dealing with.
Okay, that's not great, but it's not terrible either, I think. But Honeydew might not have been prepared for Rex Soul at that exact spot.
Yeah, I mean, resetting for it, I totally understand it and get it. If you're not prepared for it. Now, unfortunately, he went through all that menu and getting everything set up, so I guess he's gonna reassess, and that's okay. And that's, you know what, that's another skill, and one that I have definitely not mastered myself, is knowing when to reset and not falling into that sunk cost fallacy.
Gar is also at the Rex Soul.
Look at that. So Gar putting in some work, trying to do what they can, and Fitz at the switches at this point. This is going to be a shootout to the end here. Honeydew definitely has the leg up, especially with those time loss fish that I mentioned.
Yeah, it's just a matter of can Honeydew get through the Rex Soul fairly quickly.
So 2 people down, Setzer trying to do some kind of work at this point on Rex Soul. I think, did he have some Dragoon Boo? He's a dice jumper, it looks like, and sadly a really, really bad roll in the process. 2 bad rolls. You don't really care about the Soul Saver. You just got to take down Rex Soul, the guy in the back there. So at this point, this is the best option he has. This may give some other folks a chance to catch up, depending on what happens here. So Shadow putting in the work on Gar's side while Locke takes a nap on that very uncomfortable looking steel floor.
Yeah, Fitz is through the cranes that were at Guardian already.
So 3 bosses remain for Fitz. I think this is the first, and Rex Soul is down on Gar's side, so 1 boss down for them in this section. So not too far behind. Fitz going to run into these piranhas here. Going to be sitting there for a little while. Unfortunately, Honeydew bleeding this lead here as we wait for Setzer must be very slow. But getting some nice rolls there. Is it Crack Boom yet? No, it's not.
Yeah, I haven't been keeping track exactly of where Honeydew's at, but that's really not what you want to see.
This is rough because this is literally the last boss that Honeydew needs. This is, with him bleeding this time at this point, this is gonna be really, really close.
Yeah, Gar's already through Rex Soul as well, so, and we already know the other 3s are kind of pushovers.
Yes, from what we've seen. So Rex Soul being the problem here, we have the crane game for Gar, and the time lost fish will be awaiting him. So Fitz will be done with the center path here momentarily, and Fitz will have 2 bosses left.
Yeah, Fitz has not gone through Rex Soul yet either.
Correct. So Gar, once Gar is done with these cranes, he'll be down to 2 bosses. So he's got the time lost fish. And I forget who was on the far end. It wasn't anything crazy.
It was Ultros, like 2 or
Ultros 1. I think it was the first Ultros.
It was a very not threatening boss. I know that much.
he just wants to love, man. He's a hugger. He can hug 8 people at once.
Yeah, once Gar's through the time lost fish, it's pretty much just walk right through Ultros and then go see the final fight.
So Gar got what we refer to as the validation chest, the final chest of the game hidden in there, and he's going up and just hanging out with these fish here, just doing his thing. Rex Soul round 3 for Honeydew here at this point. Fitz is through, so 2 bosses remain for Fitz. 2 bosses remain for Gar, and Rexol is the only one for Honeydew here, as we're waiting to get to those final switches. I'm sure that all of the runners at this point are wondering, hey, how close am I? How far away am I behind? And this is actually turned out to be a pretty close race.
Yeah, this was just a really bad matchup for Honeydew at this particular spot, I think.
Yeah, just depending on what crew that you have, and you don't want to warp out because you can't come back here to the statues. You'd have to walk all the way through the entire dungeon.
And that
he's got to have to
doing the
wait for
Doom
this.
Gaze.
And he is just getting some of the worst rolls, and the good rolls are going on to Soul Saver. This is really rough, unfortunately. That's the kind of where it's at here. Rizapas going down on Gar's side. Gar has 1 boss to go now also. Fitz also fighting Rexol.
Fitz had an Ice Rod, however, and so that's definitely going to help.
And not to mention Mogno's Flare that he can cast here. That'll be some decent damage.
And in spite of it looking like fire, I believe Flare is actually non-elemental.
That's correct, yeah. Flare is non-elemental damage.
Fitz is through. That made it look easy.
All right, so Fitz has 1 more boss to go. As does, I believe, Gar here at this point, too, because he's through all the other 3. So, yeah, Fitz and Gar are pretty close. Honeydew taking down Rexol, so Honeydew's still in the lead. They have 1 boss left to go before we get on the switches here. So Honeydew's still in the lead even after all that the trials and tribulations that Rexol put him through.
It's very close now, however, because Honeydew's is right at the boss. Gar and Fitz just have to get through Ultros, I think, which is a non-problem.
That's correct. But Honeydew persevering, getting through it, collecting themselves. I'm sure just looking at those rolls and just seeing you're dealing with 2 levels of luck there, because as soon as the first hit goes down, the Dragon Horn will take effect. Then you can have up to 4 hits, but he doesn't stay on the same target at that point. You're kind of at the mercy of it. Ultros here going right down for Fitz, so Fitz also done at this
and
point.
Gar at the same time, basically.
And Gar at the same. Oh my goodness! Look how this is converging, Joker. It's going to come down to the climb.
Yeah, it's we're at the final boss for all 3, and it's Honeydew's early lead is unfortunately got wasted a lot on that Rexol fight.
Well, kudos to him, perhaps. Pardon me, tickle in my throat.
So, in the meantime, the first phase of this is going to be a 3-part boss: long arm, short arm, and head. Head is vulnerable to fire. Long arm is vulnerable to insta-death, and also to break spell, which petrifies him. And I think if you want to take down those both first, because they have counters if they are the last one remaining, whereas short arm does not.
That's correct. So I'm getting choked up from all the hype here at this one. But what I was going to say is that Honeydew, thankfully to their excellent play, had that time to spare to get in here. But here we are, Tier 1, the big beefy arm in front. That's long arm, short arm in the back, and the head up front. So they're going to take care of long arm, likely with cleave or some kind of instant death magic that they have available, like you said. Casting fire. Just take care of face as quick as you possibly can.
Yeah, and I did notice while Honeydew was going through the spell list that Honeydew does have mute.
Great. So even better.
There was the cleave. Cleave takes out long arm.
And Doom, unfortunately, missing for Fitz.
Yeah, so Gar and Honeydew are already through long arm because they had cleave. That Doom spell just missed on Fitz's side. And I think they're just going to start spamming fire on the head.
Ooh, Dread coming out, but Realm it missed on, so she has some sort of protection against stone. Dread inflicts Petrify. That's an instant kill, basically at that point. Here comes Gao, slappy boy with the Quadra Slice on the short arm there. That's a big chunk of damage. Just looking to see who's going to be moving on first, who actually has the lead. This is crazy that we've converged here. And we're casting Fire 3, just nuking it from orbit just to be sure. And hoping for the best. Here comes another Quadra Slice. Another probably 16k damage or so at this one. So 4k, 8k, 12k. That's 16k damage in one turn. And we're moving on there. So that puts Gar in the lead. So we've seen a firm change of hands here. where Honeydew didn't have the time for that, and now Gar moving up to tier 2.
Yeah, they both had, very much like good luck having that cleave on their Gao to get through that, whereas Fitz has been delayed because of the initial Doom missed.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It has better accuracy, if memory serves, than Break, which also I believe works on the long arm there. But not having those options that are guaranteed, like Cleave, it'll go right through them for the most part. But Honeydew moving on, second position into Tier 2. Fitz not too far behind. So let's talk about Tier 2. We got 4 parts here, folks. We got Magic, the guy hanging out in the back. We got Tools in the middle, the kind of like the gear section behind the purple guy. That's Hit, and he's sitting on top of Tiger. Tools is susceptible to Doom, or instant death, or Cleave in this case. Magic back there, all he can do is throw magic, like as the name implies, but you can mute him, as Joker was talking
and
about
Gar
earlier.
has already taken advantage of that and muted.
Conversely, we have Hit, which is just all physical, and then Tiger that you want to take care of as soon as possible because you can do some pretty nasty stuff here. Fitz getting walled off here in Tier 1, just trying to wrap things up before taking care of Short Arm before they can move on, it looks like. It looks like he casted Float, so I wonder if he was kind of worried there about whether or not, just having that security blanket just in case you didn't kill the head first.
So we did already see Mute and Cleave come out, so Magic and Tools are pretty much taken care of for Honeydew and Gar at this point.
Speaking of Gar and Tiger got off North Cross and had to freeze some of the folks, so Mog had to use Fire 2 to actually thaw his characters to get them back into actually fitting order and fighting spirit. And here comes Shadow with Grand Train. Again, that's Ultima Light, and kind of busting that one out, doing what they can. Has 3 people left. Ice damage on Tiger is its weakness, so taking care of that's no big deal. We're usually going to be left with Magic and Hit. And when Hit dies, that's 10 hits that we'll see pop up. Just a 10-hit combo in one turn.
Does Fitz not have a Mute caster? Because it looks like Fitz is trying to hunt down Mute in the spell list.
It's possible. Maybe they weren't looking for the Esper. They thought maybe they gave it to someone that had it, but does not appear to be the case here. I don't see the effect in the list.
He's got Siren. He's fine.
Oh, there it is, yes. So Hope Song coming out, giving us all hope, and crushing the bit rate in the process. But now Mute has happened on Magic, so we're safe. We're good to go.
Yeah, and so this is mostly going to just be get down Tiger by using ice spells on it, then get down Hit and tanking the 10 hits, and then finishing off Magic at the end, I think.
That is the safest way to do it. The only thing that can be kind of gnarly is sometimes, this is my own personal preference, I like taking down Magic first before Hit, because Magic has a real nasty habit of casting Quarter, and if you walk into Tier 3, you can get blasted pretty badly if you're not ready for Merton, or something else along those lines that can take you down.
And speaking of Tier 3, Gar is already at Tier 3. And so here we have Girl in Sleep, I believe.
Yeah, we have Girl up top there who absorbs all magic. You have to use non-elemental or physical attacks on her. She has 9999 health, or 4 9s rather, as we see. So trying to take her out as quick as possible. This non-elemental will do some damage. Rest there in the front. I can't remember. It's like 30k, 40k, but long story short, he has Calmness. Remember we mentioned that earlier, folks? Calmness. You want to talk about that, Joker?
Yeah, so Calmness is an instant kill, but it's a physical attack instant kill, which makes it different from things like Doom. And what you need to do, and we see Fenrir coming out on Gar, is basically find a way to block or avoid the physical attack. Fenrir casts Image on your party, so it'll basically mean that the Calmness attack hits the image and not your actual party. Golem, which we saw them get earlier, will basically just also tank that because it's a 0 damage physical hit, so it won't actually deplete the Golem at all.
Gar is doing some significant damage with that Sortex 7, the Quadra Slice with Gao here. And I think he's actually waiting for the ATB to pop back up. Here comes the Meteor. This is one of the scariest things that he can kind of chain together sometimes.
Yeah, this is probably my least favorite part of Sleep is when you get him below 10k health, he'll start alternating between Train, which puts on a bunch of status effects, and Meteo. And there's the Calmness. Calmness misses, and we're on to Final Kefka.
Yep, very good. Gar definitely has a high DPS at this point, so You know, barring anything unforeseen, Gar has this one at this point. We'll see how it turns out. Anything can happen, folks. Honeydew trying their best to get through Tier 3, and Tier 2 is still giving Fitz some fits at this point as well.
And so the general order of operations for Final Kefka is do as much damage as you can during the Goner phase, because if he, I believe he goes under a certain level, he can actually counter with Ultima to your attacks, and you don't want that happening.
Ooh, so Honeydew, unfortunately, getting his Gao condemned while up there, and also him splitting the damage here in the process, it looks like. And 10 hits is done, and so is Fitz, going on to Tier 3 himself. So at this point, it's a mad dash DPS race for Gar to bring it home. Time will end as soon as we see that flash, the first crack boom here for Kefka, and that's another 16k damage from Gao. The end comes beyond chaos, so now you're not in any risk of getting countered by anything, so just lay on the damage as quick as possible and see if Gar can put him away before Goner comes out.
It looks like that Gar's just spamming a lot of fire threes, which makes perfect sense here.
Also trying to break them shields here in the process. It looks like here comes the ice shield coming out. Again, those high rolls, unlike rods that cast tier 2 spells, that's a tier 3 for quad 9s. Bring it on home, Gar. Oh, here comes Goner. Not gonna be enough. With those, he's got 3,000 health on Shadow. That'll be more than enough to face tank that one and get through this here. But now the risk of Ultima, unless you can do the damage, that Quadra should be the trick. And speaking of trick, he's weight tricking right now in the item menu, and that should be enough. Is it crack boom? Is Gar our winner? It is confirmed. GG.
GG Gar. Meanwhile, we see both Honeydew and Fitz still on tier 3.
And that is a confirmed race time for Gar of 1 hour, 21 minutes, and 29 seconds. Which is kind of bonkers when you consider the fact that he had to feed fish to an old man and taken an entire opera and still get that time.
We got Honeydew going to tier 4 now. And it looks like he lost Realm, possibly to Calmus or to some other attack.
It's very possible. And unfortunate to lose Realm. You know, a decent spell slinger, but I think he's still got enough damage in tow here. But look at this. It's going to be a shootout between Honeydew and Fitz. Who's got the higher damage rating at this point?
And Fitz managed to keep all of his party up. So that can be, depending on how much damage Realm was doing for Honeydew, that could be an advantage for Fitz.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, because he's not dealing with his 4 characters that were built for this. Right now, Sabin is just that stand-in that he brought in at this point. And Gao, I don't think, was slapping for nearly as much as you saw. Yeah, we're looking at 2.4k versus the Gar's 4k at this point, so about half the damage we're seeing. 8,000 still nothing to sneeze at in a single turn. It's still kind of rough. Here comes the dice. We're hoping for some high rolls here from Setzer. And what is Fitz got? What's Fitz gonna be busting out here? Same thing. Looks like we got 4 attacks, maybe from an offering of some kind.
Yeah, Fitz
sure.
was found at least 2 offerings that I remember.
It's very possible. Yeah. Oh wow, quad 9s off of that. Big rolls here from Setzer. Big money, big prizes. I love it. Here comes the fallen one. Honeydew also rolling. Hoping for the best. Getting around 2k, 3k, 7k. End comes beyond chaos.
Looks like Fitz did not have the Mega Elixir, or may have used it earlier.
No, I'm pretty sure. Fitz got through Magic Master because he kind of forced his way through, so he should have one unless he used it. I just missed it during one of the fights. That maybe he had a rough bit of it. Honeydew cracking shields. Ooh, hyperdrive. That's pretty rough. Even if you had full health there, that's pretty much an instant kill. And Honeydew taking second position on this one, able to stave off Fitz. Honeydew taking second place with a time of 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 59 seconds at that point.
GG, Honeydew.
Yeah, so 2 minutes and 30 seconds behind, and it looks like also Fitz just got done at this point, and Fitz finishing in third at an hour 24:39.
It's a very close race, and one of the things that's really great about Worlds Collide is just this happens actually quite a lot. You get ones where you think someone's about to take it away, and then something random shows up like a Rex Soul at the Doom spot, and suddenly everything's off the table.
Yeah, absolutely. Just absolutely wild way of finishing this out here. And it was so super close. But how about it, though? Just through sheer consistency and perseverance, Gar, who took that really long fight early on, he was getting kind of tore up before. I remember remarking about that, was able to persevere through. And then Honeydew basically Rexol cost him the entire race. Like, he had such a great lead, played excellently, and just that was the only thing he got stuck with at that point. And just any other boss in that position basically would have fallen down from what he had, but unfortunately that was the case at this point. We were joined in the booth, by the way. Fitz, GG friend. That was a rough go of it. You're taking third in this position. It looks like Gar was our winner and Honeydew was second. What do you think of that seed, sir?
It was a lot of fun. I think I had a good time playing it. There was a couple bumps, and I'm pretty happy with my time overall, especially considering we had to go save Sid and do the opera. I think all three of us put in pretty fast times.
Oh yeah, considering that extracurriculars that you guys did here, it absolutely is crazy, and we can confirm everyone did the thing. We all saw it.
Yeah, I'm wondering, was KT skip on the table for you at all, or were you just too far away from it?
I had 17 checks, so it was like I needed to get to 21, so I would have had to do 4 more. I felt pretty good about my power level, so I was pretty much going in as soon as I hit.
I think you're the only one who saw the Doom Gaze at the ambush spot, though.
Yeah, that was because Gar went in, got the checks, then warped out, and Honeydew already had like 9 characters at that point. So Fitz was the only one that actually got tagged by Doomgaze.
Yeah, that was a tense moment where I was like, oh, I think everyone's 36. So I knew I wasn't gonna immediately lose, but it still was pretty close. Anyway, that's interesting. Sounds like they both had the skip.
Yep.
But I was still within a couple of minutes. Yeah, it just in my head, I was like, it's gonna take me more than 5 minutes to get the skip, so I'm just gonna go for it.
Also, Fitz, I apologize, my friend. Can we comment about the fact that you didn't know where the beach was?
Oh, that was great. Yeah, it's been a while since I had to do that one, and I was like, oh, is it up? I guess all the wrong directions. I guess before down. So yeah, that cost me like 30 seconds, but it's all good.
Everyone had their own adversity in this seed. I definitely recommend that if you go back, and you and all the runners go back and watch this. It actually was a very, very entertaining seed to see, and how close it truly was. I mean, you saw the done times at the end of this.
Yeah, and then considering the incentives you guys had to achieve with Opera and Saving Sid, those are pretty amazing times.
Yeah, everyone was going fast. I mean, the tools were there, like finding free dice, and then like also a free offering. There was multiple offerings just out there, at least in my path. So it was like I didn't have a problem. Even our starting characters, they all had really high magic. Shadow had Grand Train for a lore, so like I knew once we got going, it was gonna be quick. I tried to minimize my shopping and just hope I was gonna find what I needed on the go, and that pretty much worked. But yeah, nice to see, because there's definitely, I imagine, some divergence in our paths.
You'd be surprised.
Remember what you did for your early game grind to get off level 3?
I took a fight somewhere. I don't even think it was on purpose. Was it Yeah, I took one grind and I got to 8, from 3 to 8. I think it was in the basement of South Figaro. And
It
then
wasn't intentional, however.
no, that one was. I was thinking I had a little seed bleed because the one I ran before, I had an accidental fight that was like, oh well, I guess I need to grind. Sometimes that happens. I forget to put on the Moogle charm and I just take the fight. I think I was a little slow out of the gate, but once I got going, it was going pretty well. The Magi Master fight was also like a big tense moment.
Yeah, we saw that. I was expecting a reset as soon as you saw it, but you know what? You persevered, and like Realm was getting torn down pretty decently, but you stuck with it, and the rolls were there.
Yeah, I had to believe in the dice, and that's always a risky proposition, but it was low enough scaling that I was like, if I get middling rolls, she had the cat hood, so she was taking half damage. That's why she survived round 1. And then I just was able to get a turn in, or a couple turns in. Maybe I want to say that was probably luck. Was like he must have hit his like do nothing script. But yeah, and then the fish stuff. I had all fast fish, even though I didn't know where the beach was. So I'm gonna say what I've uncovered is some RNG manipulation to only get fast fish. You got to go
walk left and walk right. Is that the order?
Yeah.
Fantastic. I love it, Fitz. Very, very good. But yeah, all in all, I mean, so just to kind of cap things here, we're going to pull in the other racers as well. Fitz, any final parting remarks on this one?
I think GGs to my fellow runners and everyone that ran. I had a great time participating. I love doing this, and I look forward to the next one.
We appreciate you joining in and doing the work here, Fitz. I know you've been putting a lot of work here on the marathon, so GG, great job putting in all that you have, and thanks for competing, and fantastic work. And Gar, the leader, the winner of this one, Gar, oh my goodness gracious, make sure you watch this race back, my friend. GG, how do you feel?
Well, I was just saying in the race chat that, minus Opera and minus Sid, we are all sub 120, which is just a terrific time, and that just goes to show you like the caliber of people that we've got. So I'm glad to have won. Very hard fought. I think I got lucky.
You'll have to go back. I won't spoil too much for you unless you kick around here and Honeydew hops in for the interview, because something definitely did happen. But I gotta say, it seems like Gal was the MVP slapping for 16K there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I found a strength +2 Esper, and he had Sword Tech, and I had Cyan, and that was the end of that.
So I'm trying to remember back to your run. I think you took a grind fight kind of early on that you got stuck in for quite some time. Like I remember commenting that the fight was going on for a while. I can't remember for the life of me. I think it was those heavy armors that were kind of tearing you up for a little bit, and you're just kind of getting stuck there for a little while. How are you feeling right out of the gate?
Oh, that was rough. That was very, very rough. I was not expecting Diffuser to come out there. And like, if Diffuser didn't come out, it was fine. Not a great encounter, but doable. But having to res your party members that early on, just not terrific.
I think the other rough fight you had was against Magi Master.
Yeah, that one I just wound up resetting out of. There was no way I was going to be able to do it in any good length of time. So I just had to hope that I found a new character and that my character progression wasn't gated behind Cyan. And I think I got lucky in that regard. Or behind Cyan, behind Sabin.
For sure. But hey, GG's for finishing this one out. Gar, any final remarks about the season? Any takeaways here from this one?
Nothing particular to note. There was a lot of offense around, and it was a great seed. Thanks for rolling it. Thanks for doing all the commentary too, both you and Joker Mage. I really appreciate it. And thanks to the FF1 Rando community for putting on this wonderful event.
Absolutely. And also, by the way, Gar, give yourself a pat in the back. You are a man of culture. You were the first one to take in the opera among the three.
Oh, yeah. I saw it and I'm like, let's go. I was singing
Nice
along
job.
and everything.
Very, very good. Fantastic. Well, GG's Gar. We're also joined in here by second place here. Honeydew. Oh my gosh. Heartbreak of the biggest caliber. We got to talk about it. Let's talk about Rexol.
Yeah, what happened. That's the game we play. The thing that gets you is you always think in hindsight, okay, what could have I have done if I knew I was going to get that unlucky? It was unlucky he was even there, because that's the only boss I couldn't beat with the offense build I had. At least not quickly. But I realize now in hindsight, I should have just broke my Thunder and Ice Shield on him. It would have been a 30-second fight. I would have been in Kefka. Wouldn't have been no big deal. But that's hindsight.
Yeah, I think of the 4 in that sort of final phase, that was the really rough one, because it was Piranhas, it was Cranes, and it was Ultras 1, I think.
Yep. And the perfect boss to counter fixed dice offering was in the fixed dice offering lane, because of course.
Yeah, the absolute worst there, Honeydew. But I gotta say, just you played it perfectly from start to finish, and then got stuck there, and like you had this massive lead, and actually it synced up pretty well. But Gar just had a roll of DPS. I mean, I saw you busting out the sword tech. He was doing double the damage. He was doing 16k of a pull basically on that, where you were doing 8. So he was able to kind of leapfrog you right at tier 1 into tier 2, and it comes down to Rexol. That was the entire pivotal moment at that point. But every single one of you guys did a fantastic job with that seed and routed it really, really well. And how did the Sid feeding go? How do you feel about that? Because I know you talked about you practiced going to the opera, but you did not practice doing the Sid thing. Oh
yeah, so I actually didn't know I was done with it, because usually when I did a seed, it was on seeds where you get like a high tier item for doing it or some kind of reward, so you have like a little ding sound to let you know you were done. Turns out I fed him 1 extra fish because I didn't know I was done. Turns out once you're out the bed, he's good. He's out the bed, he's good.
I commented
so he got a bonus fish.
You didn't cook that fish. You just gave him the fish raw, man.
Yeah. For me, what stood out is that you did something that's not as common, I don't think, but the 9-character KT skip instead of the 21 check. At what point did you decide, okay, I know where these characters are, I can just go get them and get power skip?
Yeah, it was actually know what 10 characters were, because at Peak Yeti and Soul Celis was there. So around that time I was thinking about how to route it, because I had the Floating Continent triple check, had the Magitech triple check if I went got Celis, and the Doma Dream triple check. There's 3 very dense checks. And I was so early on, I was considering doing all 3 of them. But then I said, well, let me do a few quick things fast, and prioritize doing Doma Dream first, because I didn't care about the Tech Missile unlock for Gal because I had a +2 Strength Esper. And Floating Continent, that's the slowest one out of the 3. So I ended up only ever getting to go to Doma Dream, but like all 3, the triple checks were available if you chose to go that way.
Yeah, I mean, this was all sound routing decisions that you had. It's just that you got stuck with a whole bunch of characters, but you got the KT skip, and you know what? You didn't have to fight Doomgaze, but unfortunately Rexol was waiting there for you, so that just kind of happened, unfortunate. It's just name of the game, like you said.
Yeah, what think my routing was originally going to work out was I was hoping to find a Magicite in Veld Cave instead of Sabin. Then I was going to warp out of there, do Tri-Talk for the Night Magicite, and go get Celis for the 9th character. But ended up never having to go to World of Ruin Narsh because, Sabin was in there, and Sabin's free check had a Magicite, and so did Figaro Castle. But yeah, from mid-game onwards, there was 1,000 different directions you could go. So it's very interesting seed in that way.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I mean, you guys definitely had a similar route for a good chunk of the time. We definitely saw some divergence, but seeing everything converge at the end was really, really hype. So definitely recommend going back and watching that one. You may want to skip past the Rexol section, though. I apologize for that.
Yeah, there's a couple spots where you and Gar were basically like swapping checks. Like he'd do one and you do one, and then you take each other's turns and go do the one that the other did.
Oh yeah, shoutouts to Gal being locked by a Retainer Marshall fight. Then you have to go to the zone and fight Retainer Marshall again to get the chick.
Yeah, the double Marshall fight, man. I was feeling for you that he showed up on the Veld. Like, you thought you were done with him. That's such a messy fight to deal with. But, yeah, how about it? All right, friend. So Honeydew, congratulations on getting a second on that one. It definitely was in the bag until Rexol said no way. But do you have any parting remarks or final remarks here?
I just want to thank the FF1 Rando community for putting on the event. Just love doing these marathons. I wish I could do them every week. It's always fun to be able to do something for charity. I've been watching marathons for years, so it's just fun to finally get to play in them. So if anybody wants to pick up this game, check out ff6worldscollide.com. Got a newbie room where as soon as you ask a question, there's going to be like 20 people running in to answer your question. Like, they absolutely adore new people, because that'll be the next person to get to race against in a month or two once they learn the game. But very great community, very great people. So just thank you to you guys for commentating. Thanks again to the FF1 Randomizer community, and that'll be about it for me. Thank you for everything.
Very good. Thank you, honey. Sounds good. All right, friends, we're going to wrap up and toss it back over here to Giga. I'm Retrophile TV here, joined with Joker Mage. This was Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide. Make sure you follow the runners. Check out ff6worldscollide.com. Hop in the Discord. If you have any interest in this whatsoever, we'll get you up and running. You'll be racing and having a great time here with us as well. But any final words here, Joker, before we go to Giga?
I think that was just a great race, and I'm glad I got to watch it with you.
And thank you for co-commentating. So thank you, friends, and thank you for those that donated. We got past that initial benchmark. But I think we're going to be tossing over to Giga here and going to the closing ceremonies for other stuff here. But thank you, friends, for watching. And Giga, take it away.